Okay, well, I hope you've had a go at doing that. I'm now going to do the walkthrough. So we'll start in the number checker class, and I want to get both versions of my isPrime method. So the version we've got here was the newer isPrime2. Let's recreate isPrime1 as well. And isPrime1 was using integers, and the loop was an integer as well. And the maximum number to check, we didn't calculate it from the square root, it was simply the test number, but we had a less than rather than a less than or equal to. So we've now got both versions of our isPrime. And the other method that we want to look at was the prime number generator, and I think that's in the prime numbers task. That's here. So we're going to have a second version of this method. So let's call this one generate next prime 1. And in fact, that can use the first version of our isPrime method. And then we'll create a second one called generate next prime 2. And that can use the second version. And of course, the idea here is we want to say that our test number is going to be an int rather than an integer. Last number checked, I just want to look and see what that is. We've defined that as an integer as well. So I guess we should have two versions of that. So let's call this one last number checked 1 and last number checked 2. And the second one, of course, is going to be an int. And then we'll go and change all this. So in version 1, we're using last number checked 1. In version 2, we're using last number checked 2. And will this now compile? No, it looks like we've got an issue. Well, down here, we set last number checked to be 2 when the application first starts. So I think we could just set both values to be 2 down here. And then finally, we've got to choose which version we're going to be calling. Is it generate next prime 1 or generate next prime 2? Well, I think we'll do that with a parameter in this class. So let's create a parameter. And it can be an int called target version. And we'll set it to be 1 by default. And then the idea is that if we've set target version to be 1, we'll run generate next prime 1. Otherwise, we'll run generate next prime 2. So we'll need a set method for target version. And then in our run, we can say if target version is 1, we're going to call generate next prime 1, else we're going to call generate next prime 2. Okay, I think we'll just need some brackets in here to make this work. And that looks like it's going to compile now. So from the main method then, we have that choice when we instantiate the prime numbers task, and we did that up here, whether or not we want to set this to use version 1 or version 2. So I said we want to create two versions of this main method, and actually this doesn't need to be static anymore because we're going to be instantiating it from JMH. So what I think we'll do actually is leave this as it is, but let's create some versions that aren't static that we're going to call from JMH. So I'm going to copy the whole of the method, and we'll create version 1. So we'll call this one, I think, version 1, and we don't need the word static in there anymore. The target should be 8, that's what we're trying to test, and we're going to call version 1, so I don't need to do anything else in here, but we'll also create version 2, and the only difference we need to make in version 2 is that once we've created our prime numbers task, we need to then call the method to set the version number to 2. So prime numbers task dot set target version to 2. And that then should be the two versions which we want to run from JMH. So in order to get all of this code into JMH, we need to compile it into a jar file. So let's just go and do that. So it's going to be a Java jar file. I don't need it to be a runnable jar file. I'm not running this from a jar file. We'll just click on next. We want everything from Fibonacci primes improved. We'll give it a name. I think we'll save this just in the root of our workspace for now. We'll call it FBI, I think, for now. I'd like to just keep things simple. And click on Finish. We'll let that build. And then we can close this project and we'll go back into the JMH benchmarking project that we had from the earlier chapter.